Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to another episode of Sree's daily global COVID-19 show. My name is Sree Sreenivasan, and it's my pleasure to host this daily conversation. Thank you for watching, whether you're watching live or later. We're live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn. We have a very special episode for you because every Sunday is special. We call it Positivity Night around here, but positivity with an asterisk. And our guest today is Neil Parekh. Why the asterisk? On Sunday nights, we try to be positive despite every rotten thing going on. We meet generally positive, purposeful people who can help get us ready for the week. We might cry together, laugh together, mourn together, get angry together. We'll definitely learn together. Join us as we talk to Neil Parekh. At Neil Parekh, my partner on many digital shenanigans, will be sharing some breaking news later in this episode. But in the meantime, please tag your friends. Neil is a global digital and communications expert. You're going to pick up a lot of useful tips, as are your friends. So please tell us where you're watching from. Please tell us what's happening with your Sunday or your Monday, wherever you are in the world. We'll come to Neil in just a few minutes. Hi, folks. Great to be here and great to have you here. Thank you. My name is Sree Sreenivasan, and I'm the Marshall Loeb Visiting Professor of Digital Innovation at Stony Brook School of Journalism. I'm also the co-founder of Digimentors, a social, digital, and virtual events consulting company and doing company. Our motto: don't cancel your in-person event and don't plan your virtual event without talking to us. We've done events for 50 people and events for 100,000 people and everywhere in between. No event is too small or too big or too complicated to not talk to us about. So please talk to us and get in touch. My email address you see right there, sree@sree.net. We'd love to talk to you. We'd love to geek out on talking about digital comms as well as virtual events. So it's Sunday night here. It means we've had a long day. We start our Sunday mornings with our New York Times read-along, which Neil is the executive producer of. And today we had a fabulous guest, Matt Goldman, New York Times bestselling author and Emmy Award-winning TV writer. His credits include Seinfeld, Ellen, and The New Adventures of Old Christine. I learned so much, had such a good time. He's on Twitter, he's Goldman_Matthew, and his big new book comes out on Tuesday. It's starring the detective Nils Shapiro. So please check him out and check out the book Dead West, which launches on Tuesday. So that's how we start our day at 8:30 a.m. Eastern every Sunday. Hope you'll be with us on future Sundays. And then at 11 a.m. Eastern was time for She's on Call. And this is a show starring my good friends and surgeons, Dr. Sujana Chandrasekhar and Dr. Marina Kurian. And both of them were with us as we talked about what's happening all over America with COVID. And they had two terrific guests, Dr. Ben Chang, who's a hand surgeon, and Dr. Claudette Lajam, who's in orthopedics. And Dr. Ben is the person who did one of the world's first two hands transplant for a child. And we learned all about that, and also how to do some exercises for your hands and how to help your joints. It was a wonderful show. It's every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern at She's on Call on Twitter, at She's on Call on Facebook, and on YouTube. Please follow them. And tonight we are doing our Positivity Night, and you will meet our guest Neil Parekh in just a few minutes. Before that, we want to say hello to everyone who's joining us and also thank our sponsors. And we want to also tell folks about this show. This show is possible only because of our producers, Rose Horowitz at Rose Horowitz 31 and Vandana Menon, Vandana_Menon. Please send us your speaker suggestions, sponsorship ideas, and just your thoughts at Sree@Sree.net. We've had more than 1 million viewers, 100 million social impressions, 260 guests, 148 of them women. We got to keep upping that ratio. 53 cities, 15 countries, including one of our guests was the chief scientist of WHO, doctors, nurses, authors, journalists, CEOs, founders, teachers, professors, and so much more. All our archives are at youtube.com/Sreenet. And we do this in partnership with Scroll.in, one of India's leading news, culture, and information websites. Please check them out on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, Scroll.in. We want to thank our sponsors, and we have to start with Muckrack and Muckrack Academy. Our friends Greg Gallant and Mike Schneider made it possible for us by giving us the resources to make a free certification course on social media. And you can find it at mrac.co/social, mrac.co/social. Check out the course. More than 4,000 people have already done so. And I learned a lot putting that together with my friend Linda Bernstein and Stefan Kaplan, and working with Mike and his team, and on our team, Shirsti Heber. So please check that out, mrac.co/social. We also want to thank our other sponsors, including Nunbelievable, divinely delicious cookies on a mission. Each box of handcrafted cookies provides 2 meals to those in need. 20% off with the code SREE, S-R-E-E. S-R-E-E, 20% off with this code. Nunbelievable, divinely delicious cookies on a mission. And our final sponsor is here with video.
Hotstar Premiere Nights. Watch the year's biggest blockbusters streaming straight to your screen, exclusively on Hotstar.
What if you find a bag full of cash one to take it or not? Would you take it? Watch Loot Case premiering and streaming now exclusively on Hotstar. Hotstar.com/US at Hotstar USA. If you'd like to be a sponsor on our show, please get in touch. Please email me, Sree@Sree.net. And now that's enough wind up to bring you our special guest who will be talking about positivity among many other things, Neil Parekh, at Neil Parekh. Please follow him. He's my partner on many digital shenanigans, and we'll be breaking some news perhaps during this episode. So let's welcome onto our show, Neil Parekh. Hi, Neil.
Hey, Sree, how are you doing?
Great to see you. Welcome. It's late on a Sunday night for us because we start very early. We connected around 7:30 every Sunday morning, but you're up way before that. So
yeah, this is it's a long day for me. We have the New York Times read along in the morning, and we start that at 8:30. I'm usually up about 6 in the morning doing some final preparation and getting the materials ready and the graphics, getting ready to live stream, putting out some last minute tweets. And I see the door is opening behind me.
Yeah, who's that?
Right on cue. That's my daughter, Emily. Come here, Emily. How are you?
Good.
Yeah.
Hi, Emily. Great to see you.
Do you see Sree? Let's put Sree so you can see him. Right.
Ooh.
There he goes. What kind of shirt is he wearing, Emily?
It says Dodgers.
I know.
Except I don't know what that is.
That's another team. It's not the Yankees. That's the important part. But that's okay.
No,
So we should say
Yep.
that
She said no, it's not.
it's not okay. That's right.
That's
It's
not
not okay.
the important part.
I'm not even a Dodgers fan. I'm not making this up. This is the shirt I pulled out of the closet today.
Oh, you can't hear.
Yeah, because the head.
Sorry about that, Sree. 1 second. I
So,
use headphones to avoid feedback, and then Emily can't hear. So I'm going to put.
so I want to tell everybody that Emily was a guest on this show before Neil was. She joined us about 2 months ago to talk about what it's like to be a 7-year-old under COVID. We had such a great time. It was earlier in the day, so it was not running up against her bedtime as it is now. And we had such a great time. Neil stopped by for a little bit as well. So go back in our archives and you can meet Emily properly in the daytime as she shared stories about what it's like to be under lockdown. And so tell us where you're watching from. We'd love to have you join us. We'll also be breaking some news in a little bit. But it's great to see Emily and Neil here together. And Neil can control this better than I can, so he'll bring Emily on when he's ready. And there they are. Hi, guys.
And now Emily can hear. So you can say hi. You know, Auntie Amy is watching. Do you see her? And she says, love you, sweetie. And you did a fantastic job when you're on the show. So anyway, we certainly have a long day today. And then you have the She's on Call show right afterward at 11. And I had several meetings after that. So it's been a long day. But do you want to say hi to everyone, Emily?
I can show them my drawing.
Well, we're not going to be showing them drawings tonight, but you can just say hi if you want.
Hi.
And do you like it when we do live stream shows?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you like being on the show when you talked about how you did with the coronavirus?
Yes.
Yeah.
I like being guest.
You like being a guest. That's good. And Grandma is watching too. Hi, Grandma. How you doing? Hi, Mom. So why don't we? I know that you have to get ready for bed. Why don't you go do routine and get ready for bed? And I'll see you after the show. Okay.
Let me ask Emily if she can hear. Can she still hear?
She can still hear.
Okay, Emily, who is a better teacher during when you're studying at home, mom or dad?
Well, Daddy's on a lot of calls, and I usually do things by myself. So,
All right.
So it's me. She said herself. She does a lot of coding herself, a lot of Minecraft lately, and I haven't been able to spend as much time with her as I would have liked. Things have been pretty busy.
But I'm so happy to hear you're playing Minecraft. You're learning. Minecraft is not just a game. It's a chance to learn all kinds of cool ways to use the computer and to use your brain. And my kids, when they were older than you, were using Minecraft. So it's cool that you're using it already.
And it's a fun game where you can, I don't like the monsters. I don't really see them because Daddy made me set the mode to peaceful.
I set the mode to peaceful. I went into, well, you set the mode to peaceful. I didn't know how, but I went in and locked down Minecraft so she can't get invites from people, can't talk to other people, can't join other teams. It's one of the things you need to be careful with your kids online and do what you can to keep them safe. So I'm going to go back to the show with Sree, and we will, I'll come give you a kiss after the show's over, okay? When you're asleep.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. See you in New York one of these days. Bye. Wow, is she going out backwards? That's pretty cool.
She goes out backwards.
That's cool. Bye, Emily. Thanks for stopping by. Our friend Jonathan Borstein, first, always to say hello. He's watching from Union Square. Hi, Jonathan. Thanks for being here. And Jonathan was a great guest and guest host the other day because we had a show with John Strube, the mayor of Milford, Pennsylvania, and the author of Body Counts, a memoir of politics, sex, AIDS, and survival. He's the founder of Pause magazine, an executive director of the Zero Project, and in 1990 became the first openly HIV positive candidate to run for federal office. And Jonathan, who's a writer, was with us, and I learned a lot in that episode. So let's see who else is watching. I'm just looking over at the screen. Paula Kiger says hello from Tallahassee. Hi, Paula. Paula is on our team at Digimentors and is a wonderful colleague. And let's see who else. Rochelle is watching from Hastings on Hudson. Hi, Rochelle. I know you're a former neighbor of Neil's, and Sudha Parekh is here. Sudha is here not just as Emily's grandmother or Neil's mom, but a regular viewer of this show and our other digital shows. We're very grateful to her. I always say that there are lots of people who produce content, but in addition to great creators, we need great consumers. And she's an example of someone who consumes, participates, gives feedback, gets involved. That's what we all need to be when you're thinking about content. My wife Rupa is a great listener of podcasts, and people often say to her, "Why don't you have a podcast?" And she says, "Well, someone has to listen to the podcast." So it's great to have all of these folks watching, and from Bangalore, very early in the morning. Hi, Ravi, watching from beautiful Bangalore, and Amy, Neil's sister, Emily's aunt is watching. Hello from Bellevue, Washington, in a place that was one of the epicenters, like New York, of the virus. And then we've seen and watched in horror as the numbers have gone across this country. And Dr. Birx said today on the news that the virus is more widespread now than it was in the early stages when it seemed so impossible. And that's where we are today. And it's worse today. It is so sad and tragic to see it. Let's see who else is here. Rose Horowitz says, excited to see our guest, Neil Parekh, for the Positivity Edition. She's at Rose Horowitz 31 and joining from another Milford, Connecticut, and live tweeting the hashtag Sree COVID-19 call. Please follow her and Vandana Menon. Let's see who else is here. Sujana Chandrasekhar says, wants to be a Met fan. She's asking Emily. So people may not realize this, but wearing this shirt is not the worst thing I could have done to Neil, but on the spectrum, it's pretty bad. Much worse would have been to wear a Red Sox or a Mets jersey. And you should know I'm not really a Dodgers fan. I'm actually a Yankees fan, a New York fan. I like the Mets as well. Over here is actually a live highlight of both Rupa and I got a chance to speak on the field at Yankee Stadium. It was rented out for a corporate event, and we both moderated panels, and we were sitting around the first baseline, and so that was an incredible day. So I love the Yankees and not the Dodgers. In fact, the Dodgers broke my heart back in the day when Fernando Valenzuela and the Dodgers beat the Yankees in 1980-81. It's all blending together, but I remember how upset I was and how much I hated the Dodgers. But here I am wearing a t-shirt. I presume my cousin Pratna, who's in LA, gave me this at some point. Sabrina is here. Sabrina Kadini was a fabulous guest talking about life-work balance instead of just work-life balance just a few days ago on Tuesday. Please check out her show in our archives. She was just terrific. Ashok Sharma is here. Hi, Ashok. Great to see you. And I want to say about Sabrina, the answer, life-work balance, is a clue to our breaking news later today. So stand by for that. Amy says, peaceful mode sounds great. Not just, I'm sure, on the Minecraft game, but also in real life. And Rose is saying good night to Emily. And Sujana is giving us a couple of smiles. And Stefan says, Emily always steals the show. She's a live streaming star, and people are tuning in. Vignesh says, hello, Sree and Neil. Nice to see you both on the Positivity Edition. Amy said, did someone say Dodgers beat the Yankees? Yes, someone look it up, 80-81, when Fernando came in and destroyed the Yankees in the World Series. I'm still recovering from that. Atul Tolia is watching from Toronto. We welcome you to visit us all with COVID armor. That's right. You guys don't want Americans there. This is one of the tragedies of this crisis is how much American leadership has been exposed. America's idea that we are the best in the world has come crumbling down in so many ways. And Sabrina says, oh, thanks, Sree. Just great to have all of you here. We're so pleased to see so many people, and Neil's with us. Let's bring Neil back on screen. Hi, Neil. Let's first ask the question I ask everybody else. How are you doing? We saw Emily a little bit, but how's your family been and kind of coping through COVID-19?
We've been okay. We have stayed locked down. We have taken this very seriously. We wear masks. We are not socializing with people who are not social distancing. We're keeping 6 feet away. It's been challenging. Our neighbors, our neighbors with young kids, we spend a lot of time with them. The mom is a dental hygienist. She's been working. The husband runs a service station, and they have elderly parents. And so we have not been able to spend time with them at all. The good news about this is, we have Emily has learned to code. She's learned to play basketball. She has done Zoom calls with friends of ours, with friends from Wesleyan. Their the three daughters all get together once a week, so that's been good. She's been taking dance lessons from a high school friend of Pam's up in Connecticut. So we've been doing what we can. I've been working from home since March, and of course, both with United Way and then helping to produce a lot of shows for Digimentors over the last 3 months or so. So it's been busy. It's been very busy.
And how have you convinced Emily that she needs to follow the rules? I can't imagine. I know it's hard with my 17-year-olds, but 7-year-old must be even more difficult.
You know what? She was really resistant to wearing a mask at first. She didn't like the way it looked. She didn't like the way it feels. And eventually we had to go out a few places. I needed to take her on a few errands, and go to a store. It helped that my wife bought a kid's mask, a pink mask that she likes the way it looks. But she's been a lot better. I mean, I have to say, for a 7-year-old, even for adults, right? We're starting to act up a little bit. We're starting to get frustrated and a little cranky being at home with limited options. Emily has been great. She has not had, she's not thrown tantrums. She has not been frustrated. She's sad that she can't see her friends. She'd like to get out more. But she's been really great, and she's actually started wearing the mask when we need her to, without arguing. Getting her to bed on time, that's a different story. Getting her off the computer, we're still working on some of those things.
Sure. Let's see. Amy says, I love any team that beats the Yankees. Emily, take notes. Oh, so this is somebody who doesn't like the Yankees.
This is somebody who is actually a Yankees fan, believe it or not. She said so in an email to me. Amy D'Onofrio is the head of People Strategies at United Way Worldwide. Amy, thank you for joining us. And she actually made some comment about liking the Yankees. And when I told Emily about that, she said, "What? But she's a Red Sox fan. How does that work?" And so we like to tease each other. Amy, thank you for watching. Really appreciate it.
And Sabrina says, so glad that you're doing okay. If everyone took the situation very seriously like you guys are doing, Neil, we wouldn't have to deal with these high numbers. Tragic indeed. And Sabrina is in Southern California. And look at this, how sweet. My mom is saying hi to Amy and asking how Sudha is, because they know each other. We should tell that story about my wedding and how you showed up not as my guest, but as a deputy of your dad's.
Yeah, and our families have known each other for years, had known each other. I actually knew your father before I knew Sree's father before I met him. And, back in the day, this was, what, how many years have you been married now, Sree? 25?
Going on 21. This is
21 years.
Yeah.
So my dad asked me to go to Sree's wedding, to the reception, since he couldn't make it down to DC, and said, please bring greetings from the family. And I said, all right, we have to do obligations like this all the time. And I went through the receiving line and said, Sree, nice to meet you. You don't know me, but you know my dad. I know your dad. Rupa, we've never met, but congratulations. So happy for you. And walk through. And that was how I first met Sree. But that was 20 years ago. We got to do some work around SAJA, the South Asian Journalists Association, back when I was working with News India Times back then. And I did an email newsletter. I remember actually booking time on Sree's calendar to ask for advice on the best way to share news articles with people back when you were at Columbia. And then I remember fast forwarding several years later to 2013 when Sree came out to Seattle and did a workshop there. And folks may not know that I actually, that was the year Emily was born. But a few months before, I had fallen and injured my knee and was on crutches. and I came. Nothing was going to stop me to getting to Sree's social media one night stand. So I showed up in crutches to go to the event to hear the wisdom Sree was sharing, and tried to balance a plate. Luckily, people came to help me. I was literally using crutches and trying to get a plate of food to my chair. But that was probably the first time I'd gotten out of the house in 2 months to see you talk. And then after that, it's just been shenanigans since then.
That was a very unusual program because it was at UW, at the University of Washington, in their big lecture hall. We had hundreds of people, and I remember many things, including you coming up. But also remember that a woman who came didn't have papers, didn't have any way to take notes, and so what she did was she took a paper plate. There were some sandwiches and stuff being served. She took a paper plate and wrote notes on it by hand, and then went to her car 2.5 hours after all of that was over. We sat in her car and in the parking lot took a photo of her and her dinner plate, her paper plate, where she had been writing notes and transcribing. She didn't want to interrupt by using her laptop and making noise. And that was a very unusual evening, but just shows you how much people want digital advice and tips. And even someone like Neil, who was already doing so much of this at the local United Way in the county, was there to learn and listen, and we're all learning. And our shout out to our friend Hansen Hossein, who hosted me there at that time, and he is a former student and is a professor and a leading light of the tech scene in Seattle. Not easy considering what else is in Seattle. So we love talking to Hansen about the work that's happening there. So let's talk a little bit about your work at United Way and your journey, because you grew, we should back up a lot, and say you were born in Manhattan, not...
you want to start back then.
Yeah, exactly.
This is going to be a long show for you.
Your mom's here, so she can fact check you if there is any problem. So you were born in Manhattan. You took your first steps at Columbia.
On the steps of Butler Library.
And
my parents were both at Columbia in the grad programs there. My mom was getting an MSW. My dad was getting an MBA from Columbia University, and we lived on the Upper West Side for about a year. I believe, here's the first fact check, 92nd in Riverside. Mom, let me know if I have that right, in a very small apartment. And then we moved up to Yonkers, and then up to Hastings on Hudson, where I went to high school and where my mom still has the house.
And then you went to a small school in Connecticut.
I went to a small liberal arts college, Wesleyan University. I'm very proud of Wesleyan, and it was a great fit for me personally. A lot of friends from Hastings went there, so it was familiar. It was close enough to home, so I could get back on occasion, but not so close that my parents couldn't drop in without notice, which is an important distinction. And an incredible thing happened my junior year at Wesleyan. I met Pam, my wife, yes. And so we've been together for 26 years now, and we'll be celebrating our 18th wedding anniversary in just a few weeks on August 24th.
Awesome. And we should say Wesleyan is, among many other things, the home of Lin-Manuel Miranda, who's in the news a lot these days because of the Hamilton Disney Plus video and film. So people know about that. And there she is, fact-checking you, 103rd Street. You're off only by 11. And even your...
I've got both of them. Both of them are fact-checking me. I mean, this is going to be a long show.
Yeah. I love it. I hope they keep doing that. And just so that people understand, that's about 12 blocks from where I'm standing right now. That's how small the world is, and how we're all connected, which is something we always talk about. So you finish up at Wesleyan, you meet Pam, and then what do you do?
We went down to Washington, D.C. I went there in 95. I like to say I went there a year ahead of Pam. She needed an extra year to graduate. than I did. She'll argue that she's a year younger and that she started a year later, but she came down in '96. We were there for about 5 years, 4 or 5 years. I worked with the Indian Physicians Association, the American Association of Physicians of Indian Origin, as their first legislative director. And so that was a great start, bringing my understanding of American politics to the Indian community, and organizing legislative receptions and lobby days and that type of thing. And then I worked for about a year and a half as the Washington bureau chief for News India Times. My dad was the executive editor there at the time, and they had just lost their Washington reporter. I actually started there as a part-time gig. I said, hey, you don't have anyone. I could fill in, do a couple articles a week just to keep it going so you don't have to run press releases. And, almost as a favor, while I was working on a public health career. And I fell in love my first week. I broke a story. I scooped India Abroad, my good friend Aziz Hanifa. I was ahead of him on a story, and then the next week I interviewed the chairman of the subcommittee that was involved in that story, and was able to move it further while everyone else was playing catch up. And that really cemented my interest in journalism, and I did that for about a year and a half. And that's when I met you, and did a lot of work with Saja, and really was a part. At the time, it was part of the Indian American community. We were working on getting Indian Americans involved in politics. It was a very different time 20 years ago. We could count the number of Indian American staffers that were on Capitol Hill. We knew them all. It was a small group of people who were involved in encouraging people to get involved in politics. People like Nishit Acharya and Anish Chopra, Raj Shah, among others.
Who are now all become very successful folks.
Very successful.
Elsewhere. Raj is the president of the Rockefeller Foundation.
Yeah.
He was head of USAID.
Yeah.
Anish Chopra became chief digital officer, chief technology officer of the United States. Incredible run that everyone had.
Incredible. And there was, not to mention people like Priya Dayananda and Nisha Desai, who I know she got married. I forget her new last name, but she's now head of the U.S. India Business Council. Shamina Singh at the time, who ran the Asian Pacific American Council for President Clinton. It was the API initiative. I mean, this was an incredible time, and we were building something. And I was building a career, and I was really Cap Sharma, as well as my fact checker is reminding me, Amit Bose, Chris Kalluri. I mean, the names, Anupi Singla. There are so many names from that era. Working with the India Abroad Center for Political Awareness, people who were interning, etc. The interesting thing is, at that point, I was thinking about building my career. Pam was thinking about going to grad school, and our initial plan was that she could go to grad school. I was building a career. Maybe she'd take classes for 2 years and then come back to DC while she was writing, so I wouldn't have to leave. We'd be apart for a while. And at one point, I was away from her on a business trip, and I just said, "This is ridiculous. It doesn't matter. Whatever career, whatever trajectory I was on, whatever network I was building, it was more important that I be with her." And we moved to Seattle, knowing 2 people out there, and I haven't looked back since. It's been a great journey and a great experience.
Oh, wonderful to hear that. And just to finish the story, so then you worked in Seattle, but you also made a detour to Egypt.
We did. We went to Egypt. Pam got a fellowship. I was working with the House, the Washington State House, as a public information officer, and she got a fellowship to study Arabic. I said, sure, I'll go with you. And initially, it was we worked out the math. Living on the fellowship, we figured that I wouldn't have to work we could live on a budget and I could hang out for a year. Instead, I found a job before I got out there, some freelance work, and then when I was there, I found a job with a USAID project, and we stayed there for 2 years. I had a great expat life. We were doing some incredible work. I'm not one to sit and do nothing. As folks know, I'm usually working 110% on whatever I'm doing, and my ideas of lounging around by the pool at the Grand Hyatt or the Cairo Marriott really evaporated. I did get to hang out at the pool, but that's because I was making U.S. dollars in a foreign country, and we got to live large for 2 years, which was nice.
And then you went back to Seattle, you worked there, and then you joined the mothership at headquarters of United Way Worldwide.
Yeah, I went back to Seattle, worked with a group that brought together legislators and business leaders from the U.S. and Northwest U.S. and Western Canada, and worked with a labor union. Very proud to say I worked with SEIU. My mom was a member of SEIU, and she took me to the picket lines back when I was probably 6 or 7 years old. I'm waiting for another fact check. She can let me know how old I was when I went out there. But I got to work with a union, with the same labor union out in Washington State. And then from there, I went to work with United Way of Snohomish County, and just an incredible experience. The most important part of that story was that I worked with, when we were in Washington, there was a mudslide in 2014. I think it was 2014 is when it happened. I'm trying to remember the dates now. It might have been 2016. 43 people lost their lives in about 2 minutes. A whole side of a mountain gave way, destroyed a neighborhood, destroyed a residential area, and cut off towns. And United Way was one of the organizations that led the recovery work, led the recovery effort in terms of long-term rebuilding. And most of what I learned about public relations and crisis communications came from that experience. It's one of those things professionals can talk about, that you never wish anything like that would happen in any circumstance, but as an organization, we were able to do more for our community. We were able to increase our credibility and the appreciation that people had for us. Personally, I was able to do more in terms of media relations and learn how to handle crisis communications, disaster communications. So I say this, I usually say this in a closed room with other communications professionals, that it was one of the most important professional experiences of my life, despite the incredible heartache and pain that it caused. And try and separate the two when you can. And I still have great relationships with people out in Seattle and Everett, and was just talking to my old boss, Dennis Smith, a few nights ago. Those are. I talked to a great friend of mine just yesterday, in fact, Maya Hemachandra, my best friend at United Way of Snohomish County. So those relationships will definitely last.
Well, one of the things that we know about you and the entire Parekh family is about relationships and connections, and the fact that here Sudha says you were 4 years old on the picket line and you were shouting, "No contract, no work." I love that. And also, the fact that we were connected first through your father, I think, is really special. I want to give a shout out to him. I actually went back and found this obit that ran in his alma mater at Nagpur University, and this was in 2009. And this is a collection of thoughts and things that they put together, but it says, Prakash Parekh, publisher and editor of the New York-based Gujarat Times, has passed away. He leaves a legacy of influence that shaped the Indian American press and the Indian American community, including several charities. We're collecting comments below. Please post your thoughts. And they're talking about his amazing career He got an MBA from Columbia, attended New York Law School, and graduating became a lawyer. He's somebody who saw more opportunity in the law school than his MBA, and then he served as editor and president of News India Times. And all of this is connected to our story because as the story, as I learned many years later, that when Mr. Parekh passed away, he had been a fan of the New York Times for so many years that when he passed away, he asked to be cremated with a copy of the Sunday New York Times. And I get goosebumps every time I think about it. And now Neil and I have been reading the New York Times together for so many years. And it's a small tribute to a great man and someone who had such influence. And he was so kind to me. Here I was starting Saja with my friends, South Asian Journalists Association, and he would just help us and was very kind to us. And that's how he ended up sending Neil to my wedding. But here's also a thought for those of you who are American or not Indian and are wondering why somebody would send someone else to their wedding, and why wouldn't everybody and why I wouldn't know every single person at my wedding, because Indian weddings are not like American weddings. We had a wedding of 500 people. I got to invite 10 folks, and my wife got to invite 10, and I said, I can't do just 10. So I gave her about 8 of my friends and then kept 2 or 3 for myself. And we said, we'll have a blowout party in New York. This was down in DC, and Neil was in DC. And this is a uniquely American thing uniquely Indian thing, that you could have a wedding that you don't know people at. And that's right. He walked up and said, you don't know me. And here we are all these years later. So we want to tell you about a piece of news that we have been kind of teasing through all of this. And we want to make sure that all of you are sharing this with your friends and family so that you can join us as we celebrate and mark this news that we're going to show you in just 1 second. We want you to make sure you tag your friends and your family because what we're going to be talking about will also help you. We'll get some ideas out of Neil about being a digital communicator. He's a great expert on communications, and we want as many people to hear his tips as possible. And I'm going to, before I tell you the news, I'm going to go back 1 minute, actually 5 years, to something Neil hasn't seen me do before. And this is a letter, excerpts of a letter he wrote to me. He said, Sree, hope you're enjoying the snow. Sorry I couldn't join you for one of the events I went to, the second Seattle I did. I was able to make it on a Bumley last time, but not this time. But anyway, I wrote, and he asked me for some tips about a job that he was thinking about. And I said, you have solid work experience, and I'm sure you'll be an attractive candidate. I wrote that to him in January 2015. And one thing I said is, your resume looks good, but I wouldn't lead with soft things like strategic thinking and creativity. People want strategic doing. All good wishes, I wrote. This is all within an hour. As you can see, he wrote at 12:34. By 1:58 p.m., he wrote back saying, appreciate the tip, thanks. And that's how our kind of the start of our connection really came through. And we are now pleased to say, via a tweet, of course, we're going to show you a tweet to break the news that is changing sort of my life and Neil's life tonight. And let's see if we can find the news. And here it is. So, Neil, over to you.
So we can read it right there. And I didn't even get the right hashtag on the show. So a bum on me for not putting Sree COVID-19 call. But we're sharing a big announcement that I'm joining Digimentors full time, Sree's digital agency. I've been working with United Way for 9 years now, the United Way family. 4 years in United Way of Snohomish County and 5 years in United Way Worldwide. And there's the press release that we just put out this evening. And it's incredible. The fact that I get to work with someone that I've known for so long, if Sree wants to be throwing in surprises, I can do that as well. So I'm going to take that press release off the screen, because I can produce the show as well. And I'm going to find my email that I sent out. And in the, with mixed emotions, I'm forever grateful. But I want to focus on this paragraph right here, and I'll make it big so that people can read it. Took an incredible offer for me to leave United Way, and we'll have to make that even bigger. I'll be working with a longtime family friend, Sree Sreenivasan. He's someone I look up to and admire like a big brother. I'll be supervising a team of 8, focusing on production, social media, etc. But you should know, Sree, that is an important part of why I'm doing what I'm doing. I have looked up to you for years. People joke about the bromance that we have, but I love United Way, and I love all the people that I've been able to work with there. Everyone knows how important it is to me, how important those relationships are. And it took a really special opportunity, a really special group of people, not just you, but the whole Digimentors team that we've had a chance to work with. I've been working, nights and weekends when I can fit it in around work on various projects. But I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for the team that we've built up and the people that you've been able to attract around you. So August 7th, this Friday, is going to be my last day at United Way. And I'll be joining, doing these virtual events, social and digital media consulting, working on the Sree COVID-19 call and on the She's on Call show, in addition to the New York Times read along, working with our clients full time. And so I really, I'm humbled that I get to do this, and thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Well, there's no thank you needed. The work starts now, but the thank you is to you for helping build what we're doing. What you did with the New York Times read along is the best example of how someone who has big ideas and wants to help. He just volunteered about 3 years ago to be a kind of digital wingman or wing person on my New York Times read along. We were just playing around with that, and I just could see immediately that he got what I was trying to do. That Neil understood what we are building here. We weren't building anything external. It was just a community. That's what we're building. Before we built a company, we built a community, and so many of our good friends started showing up and helping, and people who became friends. And here we are now, all these years later. You are leaving an incredible organization. We had the good fortune of going down to Tampa and working together on a show at Pointer, a set of workshops. But we made a detour and we went to United Way Suncoast in Florida, in Tampa, to teach a couple of workshops and meet the incredible team there. Such impressive people. And that was my first time inside the United Way. I grew up watching American football and hearing about United Way with the ads and things like that. But to meet individuals who had worked at United Way was very special. And so I can say there is some guilt about taking a great talent from an organization like that. But it's a big organization with lots of wonderful, talented people. So they'll be able to move on and take your experience that they had there, and you taught your colleagues, they taught you, and we're all together now. And now, not just one big organization, but dozens and dozens of organizations will continue to benefit from your presence at Digimentors. We also want to say that Neil's work is so interesting at United Way, and the skill set he brings. So what I do want to do is just look through that a little bit with you. He has served as the director of network comms for United Way Worldwide, the world's largest privately funded nonprofit. He produces a daily newsletter that is sent to 13,000 local staff. I write a weekly newsletter with my friend Zach Peterson and find it way too much work. He has conducted award-winning, often trending monthly Twitter chat called United Way Chat and monthly webinars, and has given dozens of presentations around the country on branding, messaging, social media, public relations, and crisis communications. United Way is supported by 2.9 million volunteers and 9.8 million donors worldwide, and there are 1,800 United Ways in more than 40 countries. He was writing to them, bringing them together digitally every single day. And that's why I said we are thrilled to have Neil join our team. He brings a wealth of knowledge and experience to the position. He has been a key factor in our growth over these last several months. Having him on board full-time will strengthen our ability to deliver high-quality productions and greatly increase our social media and digital consulting capability. We have a number of conferences, webinars, and events lined up for the fall. The time was right to bring on someone who can both manage the workload and help grow the business. And he'll be doing so much great work with us. I'm so excited. We've named some of the projects he's working on. And the boldface names you see are some of the projects we've worked on. Brian Stelter from CNN, he was a guest on our show, The News Project Live. Check out thenewsproject.net. Christian Amanpour was on our First Amendment lecture series for the University of Rhode Island. Stevie Van Zandt and Drew Carey, we're working with them on the incredible Little Stevens Roadshow. And that's this Thursday for the Detroit edition. Don't miss that. And together we built the T4 conference, which is 100,000 teachers, the largest gathering of teachers in history. And an example of someone who so selfless. I mentioned that I am interviewing and doing a show. I have an idea to do something for Shakespeare's 456th birthday, 456th birthday. And he immediately jumped on to join me at 6 a.m. to help produce the show. And we did an incredible show that you can find in my archives where we talked to and learned and shared so much of the amazing work of William Shakespeare. And we got to do that. And that was really a tribute to my father, who was a Shakespeare scholar and made me a Shakespeare fan when I was a little kid. My dad grew up in a house in India with mud walls and no indoor plumbing, no electricity, so much the same technology as when Shakespeare was young, and was able to grow up to be a diplomat. And so I feel like, and my dad, T.P. Srinivasan, was a friend of Neil's before Neil was a friend of mine. So all of that's is coming together. Shiva Ramesh says, congrats, Sree, on Neil on this new teaming to grow Digimentors. Thank you, Shiva. I've not read the other comments. So Neil, if you want to just glide through some of them so I can read them for you.
Sure. I went through. Mike Richardson, a colleague from work, said congrats. So thank you, Mike. I did let my colleagues know before we went live on the air and before we shared the press release. Apollo as well. Jeanette Ashworth, who's in Seattle. Thank you, Jeanette, who I got to know through the read along. Here's Lambert suggesting a story idea for a book, Neil's Journey to Digimentors. Thank you.
You'll have to talk to your boss about taking time off for book leave already.
It'd be great promotion for Digimentors. So it's under marketing and PR, which is one of my responsibilities, apparently.
So you'll take a year off, write that book, and then join us in August 2022.
Sure. And one of our official fact checkers, we have two on the show today, says that if I think of you as a big brother, that makes Amy your sister as well. So she wants to wish you a happy Raksha Bandhan. For people who are not familiar with the tradition, in Indian cultures, sister ties a bracelet around a brother's wrist, and the brother pledges to take care of her and protect her. But somehow in the bargain, he also loses about $20 to $30 each time. So Sree, you better get ready to pony up. I think that's.
Well, if I get the Rocky, then sure. I don't have. I have wonderful cousin sisters, but I didn't grow up with sisters, and so I'm always happy to have a little sister.
So it's always an interesting. And then of course our good friend Stefan with the virtual pizza party, and my uncle from Canada. Thank you, Atul Mama. Rochelle is our neighbor from Hastings. Jonathan Borstein as well, who has watched every one of these 144 shows, is happy for us. And the comments go up from there. And yeah, it's been a great experience. Doug Levy as well. So yeah, thank you.
And Doug, by the way, gets up at 5:30 in the morning on Sundays to either join us on the air or watch our New York Times read along, and he is awesome. I want to bring greetings from this guy here. That's our friend Stefan. And here he is to say hello to you.
Neil.
Stefan, my buddy. What a great picture. That was Stefan met me in the city last year for my was it last year? For my birthday.
Yeah.
Last year or 2 years ago, I can't even remember now. And I think it was 2019, right? We went to the city. We had pizza. We walked the High Line. New York pizza, right? Forget about it.
That's right. That's right.
No pineapples in sight either. I just want to make sure, as Jonathan is saying, no pineapple on that pizza party.
And we were standing on the corner, and Neil's wondering why I'm running out into the middle of the street playing in traffic, trying to get a good photo of him. I said, that's what New Yorkers do. We run into the middle of traffic to take photos.
That shot was after eating all that pizza. You know, that's what
we had to walk it off, man. I mean, if you noticed the photo, I think we were both getting a little plumper there as we were.
But there's no after photo, Stefan. You have to get one of me afterward to show that it actually came off.
Yeah, only one walk it came off. We also did another crazy thing when I was in DC one day. We decided we'd do Facebook Live from the zoo to the White House. I presume it's like 2-3 miles, and we walked using Facebook Live, and we just walked through the city. It was hot. You, me, and Andrew Lee, co-founder of Digimentors, my digital mentor, who set the stage for all of this to come to happen. And we walked through. It was so hot. It was terrible. And we were learning. Part of it was the excuse for all of us for all these things that we do, all the shenanigans, is that we're learning all the time, and we're a learning organization. Yep. Stefan is very much a part of that. He and I and our friend Linda Bernstein just finished putting together an incredible smartphone tips webinar that Stefan is the star of, and we're still editing it, going back and forth. So I don't know, Steph, have you had a chance to look at the video yet?
Yeah, I looked at it. It looks great. I'm really impressed. We did a great, it was hard. We did that in one take, man.
Yeah, exactly. All in one take.
I realized throughout I should have had a little more water. My voice was getting a little hoarse, just a little. But that's even for me who talks a lot, that was a lot of talking.
So those are the kinds of things we're now able to do as a company. Digimentors.group is our website. We hope you'll all check it out. Digimentors, plural.group. Please check us out, and there you will learn more about some of the things we do. But one of the things we do want to do is to give more educational opportunities for people around the world. The mrac.co/social, that's my free workshop with Muckrack that Stefan and I worked on that with Linda and Shristi. So this is all coming together. Neil is our amazing producer, director, executive producer of so many things. And we're just grateful to have all of these folks. And by the way, doing all this in the middle of the pandemic, not easy, but I don't know how we've held it all together for like how many months now with all of this. I mean, you in another apartment, Neil with Emily at home, me with our son at home. I mean, the twins at home. I mean, we're all like, working nonstop and everything. But, this is about Neil tonight. So, Neil, congratulations. Thank you. Wonderful to have you full time and to work on more and more stuff together, because we've all worked together so incredibly well. And the one thing about all of us is that we're all about the work. We're all about making the best product. We're all about making the best social media and teaching everybody all the best stuff. And, we're all just great together that way. And we're one, I don't think I've ever worked with, a better group of people who's always all about the work. It's all about the work. Thank you. And Stefan is one of more than a dozen people. We're all together in Digimentors, and everybody works in kind of different timings, and they all have other things going on. But Neil is going to be joining us full time, and we're very lucky. And Stefan's saying great things about us. He worked at the New York Times as a photo editor for 20 years. So he knows big organizations, and he's now adjusting to our much smaller organization. But we're grateful to have you with us. Yeah, but we have our fun. Look at what we did when we went to the Museum of the City of New York, and we did that
did that great live stream right from there. I mean, that was just the beginning of many other future ventures. We're gonna do it all, right?
It's going to be great. I mean, one of the things that I'm looking forward to, Stephanie, is working with you to up our social media game. We're going to be doing a lot more with Twitter, with Facebook. One of the things that we've gotten to do over the last several years is really show people how it's done. And with the team that we have, in addition to Stefan, Rose Horowitz, Paula Kiger, Julia Weeks, Vandana Menon, tweeting, Steve Taylor as well. We have a great team that we put together, but we also have folks focusing on business development, Jenny Lazarus and Raji Menon looking at operations. We have folks doing research. Tamakant is working on LinkedIn. This is just the tip of the iceberg, right? Bob Anthony helping us out. Carla Baranakis, can't forget her as well. I know that there are people I'm leaving out.
Zach
the newsletter. Absolutely. There's such a great team. And again, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm going from one great team to another. I wouldn't do this. What I want people to understand is that I know exactly the work that I'm going to be doing with Digimentors. I know who I'm going to be doing it with. When you make a job change, you interview, you hope you're making the right move. You're not sure who you're going to sit next to. All of that is crystal clear for me. I know exactly what I'm walking into, and I couldn't be more thrilled with that. So, Stefan, looking forward to pizza when we can, and looking forward to working with the whole team as we move forward.
All right, man. Listen, congratulations. We'll talk tomorrow and everything. And Sree, take off that Dodgers shirt already. All right, Neil. See you tomorrow, man. Take care. All right. Good night, everybody.
So Sree, while we were talking, I found a link to the Facebook Live video that I put up on my page. I found the link to your video. So I shared both. And I got a kudos from Andrew Lee. Nice research skills, and congrats. I think I'm done. If I've gotten the congrats from Andrew, I think that we can close up shop now.
I want to say that this is all possible because of two sets of people. One is Andrew Lee. Andrew, who has supported all of our digital shenanigans, has led most of the shenanigans. He's very busy with his own projects, so he'll always be senior advisor to Digimentors. He is on our press release, as you have seen. He is somebody who has taught me so much. The name of the company comes from him because he has been my digital mentor. So for those of you who haven't seen it, there's the press release. And Neil, can you stick a link to this in our Facebook so people can see it?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then I just want you to read this part about Andrew here. It says, Andrew, an influential Wikipedian and digital media professor, was Sree's digital mentor and was named 2018's Citizen Archivist of the Year by the Archivist of the United States, David Ferrero. He also serves as senior advisor to Digimentors. During the pandemic, Digimentors has been working with organizations and nonprofits, big and small, to help them with virtual events, social media, consulting, and more. 20 freelancers with backgrounds in journalism, marketing, photography, and more work at Digimentors. And Andrew is an incredible guy who has taught me everything that I know in digital. We taught together at Columbia for a dozen years, and then he moved on to Hong Kong, and then Beijing, and then California, and then DC. And he's based not too far from, I mean, all of you in the swamp, I consider living next to each other, but I know it's not that close. And Andrew is at Fuzzheado on Twitter. Please follow him. And we are so lucky that he set the tone, he set the skill set, he set the possibility for all of us to be together. The other people we need to thank, Neil, are our partners at home. I know Andrew's wife May, who has been a guest on the on both the New York Times Read Along as well as on the Daily COVID Show. Is an incredible supporter of these shenanigans. And I'm going to pay tribute to Rupa Unikrishnan, my wife, at Rupa Online. She allows all of this to happen and encourages it. And of course, this was a big investment on our side and on her, from her, to say this is a good logical next step for the business, and that we are going to grow this. And the right way to grow it is to bring Neil in and bring him in full time. And so we're very lucky. And I know you want to say the same to and about Pam.
Absolutely. When we talk about, being able to do this work, do the work that we do, even if we can avoid the late night phone calls, now that I'm working full time, if we can switch those to 11 a.m. instead of 11 p.m., tonight is a great example. As I was preparing for the show and preparing for the announcement, Pam handled dinner, giving Emily a shower. Emily came on for just a few minutes at the very beginning of the program, as folks you might have seen. But then she left the room, and Pam is dealing with putting her to bed and nighttime routine. And she's done that for the last 4 months. I mean, when we've gone from the lockdown in terms of COVID-19, I ended up doing our United Way work and some of these projects in my off hours. Pam picked up the slack, and she's not on social media. She's not a public person, but I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for her. And I'll be the first to say that there is a great imbalance in our division of labor at home in terms of household chores. I have been picking up the slack a little bit recently, just because after making this announcement, after making the decision, I can take a step back and do a little bit more around the house, and hopefully that will only continue.
And it's so great to hear that you'll be able to do more around the house. And this is what we were talking about. Sabrina Kadini, who was a guest on Tuesday's show, talking about life-work balance and a work-life balance. That's one of the reasons you and I are doing this with our incredible set of colleagues, because we want to grow the opportunities for our families, but we also want to see our families more often and not just do calls at 11 a.m. So if you're just joining us, we're talking to Neil Parekh, who is our guest on the show right now. And we have two friends who have joined us backstage, and they're just going to come on and say hello. Julia and Paula, hello.
Hey, you two. So great to see you. And hopefully, I don't know if you were watching earlier, I really did want to give you both a shout out, and the rest of the team as well. I made many of the same comments Tuesday when we met as a team. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't know who I was working with, and I'm so glad I get to work with you both on so many projects. Paula, former wing woman, is that was the original title she had when for folks who may not know, the way this all evolved is I started helping Sree with the New York Times read along, and he started calling me his wingman, and I started putting in links and helping to promote the show. When he asked me to guest host for the first time, it was the highest honor I could imagine. I still think it's an incredible honor. And Paula stepped up to be my wing person, wing woman, I guess, doing what I was doing, putting in links, engaging with the audience, etc. And then when we moved into StreamYard and producing the show, we went from being a 2-person operation to a 4-person operation overnight, and 5, and then 6. It's just grown, and it became what was an occasional gig for Paula. I'd call her up and say, hey, can you help this week because Sree needs me to guest host. Became a weekly thing. And so Paula, thank you for being there from the beginning. I really appreciate that.
Let's hear from Paula and Julia. Go ahead.
How good our connection is. I just want.
Julia, go ahead.
I just wanted to congratulate you and say I'm so thrilled for you and so happy that you brought me aboard the team. So I am just thrilled to work and learn from both of you, and just to echo all that you have said on Tuesday. You are truly, just such a hard worker and so inspirational, and just know so much. So we are all in such good company, and so happy to be on this journey with you.
Thank you, Julia. I really appreciate it. I had the pleasure of working with you through our first round of Digimentors, and I think Sree knows this, but I got paired with you to share some insights around doing Twitter chats, which I did for United Way. We had an award-winning, often trending Twitter chat nationally called United Way Chat, and I was willing to talk to anybody about it, and you were listening, and you were willing to see what you could do with it. And so Julia started AP Images Chat, which was great to watch and great to see it evolve over time. And to go from that to working with you on, to interviewing you on the New York Times read along. I remember coming to your place in Brooklyn, meeting Isra, going to the Navy Yard across the street. And then to have you join our team has been a great journey as well. So thank you, Julia.
Thank you so much. I can't wait till we can be in person and have a pizza and watch some baseball and celebrate together.
Absolutely.
I want to say to Julia, thank you for your amazing work on She's on Call, that other show we do at Digimentors. She just, has become such a wonderful producer, knows how to direct, and she has her own show called Navy Yard Neighbor. And I've committed to her that she's so modest, she doesn't talk enough about it. So I said, I'm going to promote it on this show when we get closer to the weekends. Are you still going to keep the same time on future Sundays?
I think so. I mean, we did an Instagram live today, so we're kind of toying around. Do we want to move it totally to Instagram, or do we want to keep it on StreamYard? But I think either way, it'll be the same time, Sundays at 7:30. So we're at Navy Yard Neighbor BK on Facebook and Instagram.
Navy Yard Neighbor BK, because it turns out there's more than one Navy Yard.
Yeah, exactly.
And I love the Brooklyn Navy Yard. When I was Chief Digital Officer of New York City, I got a chance to spend some time there and think about its future. So Julia, we'll let you go. It's late night on a Sunday. Thank you very much. Julia works at the AP, is an incredible colleague. Thank you, Julia. And let's say hi to Paula.
Congratulations, Paula, to your kids before I go.
Thank
Congratulations.
you. Yeah.
All right,
So let's clear that up. What are we congratulating them for? And by the way, she's Julia L. Weeks on Twitter. Julia, the letter L Weeks on Twitter. Bye, Julia. Go ahead, Paula.
Well, not to steal from Neil's big day, but to answer the question, my July was bookended by my son getting engaged to his fiancee Patience on July 3rd, and my daughter and her fiancé Stuart got engaged Friday night.
Oh, that's so cool. And you weren't there. If you had been an Indian family, you might have been there popping the question with him. Instead, what did you do?
What did we do?
Yeah, I mean, what was the connection? How did you? What was the end of that evening? How did you?
Well, I mean, this says a lot for Tenley's fiance, because you know how not to stereotype, but a lot of young people these days do everything by text. But he called me several times. He came to our house, which is about an hour away, in end of May, to talk to us. So I've been keeping this secret for 2+ months. As I say, keeping secrets is my superpower. So it worked. But he took her on a scavenger hunt through the town where they live in Valdosta, and went to a couple of their special places, and ended up doing it on the roof of a place that we're not tagging so they don't get in trouble, but a roof of a place that was very meaningful to them. And then we were all waiting for them at his house. So, yeah.
Was she surprised at both the rooftop as well as when she came home and found you there?
She's definitely surprised by the scavenger hunt, but I don't know if you saw my story on Facebook. I made her do this horrible scavenger hunt when she was like 8, and she was getting a little skeptical about some of the holiday stuff. Like, I made her read the whole Yes, Virginia, There's a Santa Claus column before she could go to the next step and get her presents. We had a younger sibling. We wanted to keep the magic alive. So her fiance is a man after my own heart. But and I think she was a little surprised that we were there, but everybody kept saying, get your nails done for every weekend the past 3 weeks, which is not easy to do in a pandemic. So
that is awesome. And Paula is a writer and editor and she always has a big green pen with her, and that's why she's at Big Green Pen. There she is with a big green pen, and she is part of the reason what started with the New York Times read along as just a fun little thing that I was trying to do. Neil and then Paula and Steve Taylor and Julia and Carla have taken it to a whole other level, where today I got to talk to the gentleman who was with Jerry Seinfeld when he was pitching at one of the final meetings at NBC, and it wasn't Larry David, because Larry was too volatile, and so they didn't take him. They took Matt Goldman instead. Let's show that that picture. This was Matt Goldman, whose job was to be at the Seinfeld meeting of NBC. And one of the things I learned today that I'll never forget is that the president of NBC had some notes and said, I want you to take it in a different direction. And Jerry said, I'd rather do it my way or not get and get the show, or do it your way and not get the show. Like, that he was willing to walk away from Seinfeld. Of course, he didn't know it was going to be what it became. And the show was not very popular those first 3 years. NBC didn't know what to make of it. And he persevered, and Matt didn't screw it up by being in the room that day. And he was therefore in the room when it happened. And we got an incredible story. All of that is possible. Harlan Coben joining us, Amy Vership, the New York Times travel editor, Neil and I going to the home of Tom Jolly, the print editor of the New York Times, and reading the Sunday New York Times with Carla serving bagels that she brought along. Like, these are dream moments for a kid who was born outside America, whose father was born in a house with mud walls and no electricity. To be able to do that in this country, it takes a team to make all of that happen. You're looking at two of those team folks here. I'm going to bring another teammate onto the screen right now. She's the one responsible for this show, along with Vandana Menon. Here is Rose Horowitz. Hi, Rose.
Hi.
Rose, how you doing?
Hello, congratulations.
Women
Welcome.
to follow. Women to follow. That's what people should know, the hashtag. I still think back to the New York Times read-along we did when you first launched that.
Yeah. I think Neil texted me or called me and said, did you create that? What's going on? He was checking in since Sree was away. And then I said, I don't think anyone else used it, like maybe some event group for a woman or something maybe used it. And he invited me to be on the show, which was great. Really
well, look where that's grown. Everybody, please follow Rose Horowitz 31, and follow hashtag Women to Follow.
Let's just explain it to folks. It is born out of a movement, out of an effort to make sure that women's voices are heard. What we found was that reporters often were not quoting women in their stories. We're using quote unquote experts, that were overwhelmingly men. And so, in various fields, this idea came about to put out women's voices to make sure that people knew, if you were looking for experts in a particular field, here are women who can answer those questions as well. And so Rose took that idea and started profiling women and started not just a hashtag, but a Twitter list, working with our good friend Stacy, to make sure that we can find, if you're looking for women on Twitter who are something important to say, who can contribute to the conversation, use the hashtag Women to Follow. Rose, how many women are on that list now? Has that grown to?
Maybe 1,600.
1,600 people, which is incredible. So I encourage everyone. And hey, kiddo, it's Stacy. Stacy Kratz's Twitter account. The list is on her account, so you can find it there, and just follow all these great women to get women's voices on the internet.
And this is one of the things that we have done on this show. As you know, out of 260 guests, 148 have been women. We want to keep raising that ratio, and there's no reason it could have been all 260 of them couldn't be women going forward. But we are so grateful to Vandana Menon and Rose Horowitz for the work they've done on this show. Together, we've also worked on She's on Call, and she's also produced a wonderful series. The first episode's already out, from Carnegie Corporation, and that's Rose's work as a producer of that show as well. So this is why we have Neil here. He will help us continue to do great shows. He's going to bring us more capacity so that we can take on more clients and more opportunities in the weeks ahead and months ahead. We believe that with the internet and what's happening with the pandemic, that we need to master whatever we can do on social, especially nonprofits. And Neil's experience as a nonprofit comms expert, I think, is going to be so amazing for us to tap into, and all of us to learn together, everybody in Digimentors. So we should let these ladies go and get back to their Sunday nights.
Nice seeing you all. Congratulations again, Neil.
Congratulations, Neil.
Thank you. Thank you, Paula. I really appreciate it. And Rose, thank you very much as well. Sree, I do want to, so folks who may be joining us late, want to make sure that they heard the news that I'm joining Digimentors full time as a VP of Events and Communications. We put out a press release this evening and shared it on social media, on Twitter, etc. That is the press release. But I also want to, you can see the headshot there. I want to actually make that more prominent and make sure people can see that. That's my updated headshot. And in particular, I want to make sure that our good friend William Wright sees it. He writes words. Was teasing me about having an old headshot that didn't look like what I look like anymore. So that shot was taken today. I'm up to date. Will, what about you? What is your headshot of recent vintage? Make sure you update it. He's saying hello on Twitter. Writes he's saying bonjour, and he was commenting about Paula. But I don't know if you saw the news earlier. But there we go.
So let's also point out in that photograph. I'm just going to bring that on. That picture is taken by one Emily Parekh.
Yeah, Parekh. I'll move that down. Make that a little bit bigger. You might be able to tell in the bottom photo credit, Emily Margaret Parekh. This is the reality. I mean, my hair is a little longer than I'd like it to be, but this is a COVID-19 headshot. This is what you have to do. I'm not ready to go get my hair cut in a salon. I'm not sure I want my stylist coming over yet. Thank you, Apollo, for the great picture. Williams saying something about, oh God, really? Not sure what that reference is. Vandana is saying thank you. And yes, Amy, my sister, it's a goatee. It's salt and pepper. It's not all gray. It's not all white, as you call it. And yes, it is here to say it's part of my official headshot now. So we'll just have to deal with it.
So many comments coming in from folks. Sabrina saying, great to see you, Rose. And Jeanette says, wow, Sree Sreenivasan, goosebumps for so many dream guests, all because of our team. Nothing.
You mentioned Tom Jolly. I mean, the story behind that, just in terms of not only dream guests, but we have guests that are so easy to work with. They let us share the read along on their social channels. To do that, they give us their credentials, their login, their username and password, the trust that they have in us. Tom Jolly in particular, I reached out to him on a Tuesday and had a phone call with him on a Wednesday. We were at his house on Sunday that week. After a couple of tweets back and forth, a couple of DMs. That's how incredible a guy he is. And then he came back again this year as well, on Father's Day, no less, to spend the morning with us. So again, what a life highlight that was for all of us.
Amy says, go Pam. She's a rock star. That's Neil's wife. Tim says, love Sabrina Cadini. Jeanette says, cheers to Pam and how she supports you. Make sure to pamper her as soon as possible. Yes, a great man does chores too. Sabrina says, yes, I'm loving this. More time for family. And Amy said, our moms were a great support to our fathers too, and incredibly talented and strong women. 100% agree. And big cheers to both Sudha and to Lekha for all that they did to make us who we are today. And Jeanette gives a shout out to Paula Kiger. You do a great job producing. Love your articles and social causes too. And Kathleen says, I remember I've been watching the New York Times read along for years. 5 years. October, it's going to be 5. And I'm so happy your Facebook Live episodes have grown into so much. All of it because of our team, because of our fans and our viewers like Mark Lee. The show is fascinating. I've been on the show and they are fun hosts. Julia is great and Paula is amazing. And Mark was on this show to talk about, when we talked about how to be an ally to the Black community, he came on and gave us great advice. I'm also remembering that we've had so many other folks on the show who've helped us understand the reach of what we do on social. Paula brought us Rick Wilson, and we had 86,000 people watching because of the
Rick Wilson.
Yeah,
Yes.
the Rick Wilson effect out of his work as part of the Lincoln Project. And we had Sunny Slaughter on all our shows, and Sunny, the incredible lady that she is, businesswoman, activist, I asked her, what can people do to help their Black friends? And she said, don't call your Black friend and say, what can we do now? Ask yourself, what have you been doing lately? What have you been doing all these years? And while what Neil and I did was certainly not enough, we were doing whatever little we could. We didn't, a lot of other shows, Neil, started booking Black guests because they understood this moment. And we're proud to say that we've had African-American folks, Black folks on our show talking about not just about being Black, but about being Americans, and just talking as guests or CEOs as they are, and executives and doctors and all of these people. And we're very proud of that. Not enough, but we've committed on all our shows to be more inclusive, to give more opportunities to people who don't get their voice heard. And one of the things Neil's going to do is make our shows more, optimize all our shows. We're doing so many, see where are there synergies, where can we do more to maximize the impact of what we're doing. You heard that we're going to work with Stefan on our social media. Sometimes you got to eat the things that you're preaching. Sometimes I've always felt I'm sort of like a doctor who smokes, who says, do not smoke, and then I give you all this digital advice and I don't follow it myself. That ends now with Neil's arrival, and I'm very excited about that for one of 1,000 reasons, and I think it's really great.
To your point, Sree, I want to say one of the proudest moments I had was to have to go to Sunny's house back in August. It's a year ago this week. It's just a few days from the 1-year anniversary of the 1619 Project from the New York Times. And it's important to both have a diverse set of speakers and guests, and make sure that they talk about a range of issues, not just having Black people talk about issues of interest to the African American community, for example, but at the same time, when there's a special edition like the 1619 Project focusing on the modern day impacts of slavery going back 400 years, we did a special edition on that. I was over at Sunny's house. That's all we talked about for 2 hours. And sometimes you have to give it that due. You have to focus on Black Lives Matter. You have to focus on reading the names, as you do at the end of every show, at the end of every daily COVID-19 call. And it's finding that balance. It's knowing that there's an audience for this, knowing that our African American colleagues and friends are interested in those articles and those shows, but that we also have to make sure we broaden the audience so that others hear that content and learn from what we're doing. My thank you again to Sunny for all of her support, and it's been a pleasure working with you and learning from you over the past year.
Rose is getting shout outs, so she's saying thank you to those. And Rose says, thank you, Julia Weeks. It's been great working with you. We've yet to meet in real life. And Mark says, Sree is a great guest, also a great host. I need you to get on my platform as well, Neil. I've had a few Digimentors, including Sree and Stefan. And there's the first time ever, folks, the Digimentors.group website. Why don't we go to the top so people can see what the top of the website looks like? And then we'll...
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take that, go to the top of the page. Digimentors.group is our website. You can see that picture of Sree.
What does it say there? Can you just read that under the name?
Digimentors we're a full service digital agency that specializes in TV quality virtual events, social media and digital media consulting. Let's do something great together. Details on virtual events, digital consulting, our workshops. Here's an example of some of the clients that we've gotten to work with over the last several months and years, and some testimonials from our events, including one from Walt Mossberg.
I just want to say Walt Mossberg is my hero. He is the most important technology journalist of our time and therefore of all time so far, and my mentor. And he had some very nice things to say, and I'm very grateful. And now here, let's unveil the team. Drum roll, please. And there you see me and Andrew and Rajni Menon, our VP of Operations, Neil Parekh, VP Events and Communications as of August 5th, 17th, Linda Bernstein, who's there at the very beginning, our VP of Education, and Jennifer Lazarus, VP of Business Development and Strategy. Very proud of this team, what we are building, what we're going to be doing together. Please check us out. Please connect with us. Digimentors.group. We would love to talk to you about our business and what we are doing. And this is the press release that we used. And the press release link is there in Facebook. And we'll get that to you if you need it. Just email me, sree@sree.net. We also have a really good brochure that we've put together. Go ahead, Neil.
Before you go there, I just want to also note that that's not the entire Digimentors team.
Oh, no.
Earlier,
yeah,
we have about 20 people that work with us in various capacities on various projects. And I want to definitely make sure that we honor them and give them the credit they deserve. We would not be able to do the work that we do without the full team behind us. So thank you to everyone who is involved in the range of different capacities.
And we have a brochure of our work that we use in our Zoom calls where we pitch our work. So if anybody wants that, email me, sree@sree.net. We'd love to show it to you, walk you through how we do what we do, and some of our fabulous clients. I also wanted to show everybody this article by a very kind person, Lavina Melwani, who wrote, this tech entrepreneur started a new venture during the lockdown. Here's how. Now, it's a little confusing because first you might think this is our Digimentors team, and we have this many employees. We wish we did, but this is this is some kind of anti-mask party that we have launched, and it's neither of those things. This is a party at our house, and Lavina Melwani, who wrote this story, you can see her picture there at Lavina Melwani. She was at this party. In the middle is the incredible Bollywood star Manisha Koirala, who was in 1942, A Love Story, and Dil Se, and so many other films. And with 20 hours notice, I told people she's coming for dinner, and everybody said yes. And some of the people who said no are some of the most famous Indian Americans but they couldn't make it, and they were so apologetic. People who don't usually return my invitations all said, we're very sorry we couldn't come. But here are multiple folks who are on our team who are there, and there's Manisha right in the middle, and that's Rupa next to me. And you see Dr. Marina Kurian's there on the left side. Neil, do you see her there?
The host of She's On, one of the hosts with Sujana Chandrasekhar, the host of She's On Call, our 11 a.m. Sunday show. I would mention, and I'm sure Amy would, my sister, who's been fact checking throughout the show, along with my mom. Can't go anywhere without them, right? I would have had no idea who you were talking about if you sent me that invitation. Manisha, what? Who? Bali, what? It's not my thing. Now, I would say that going back a few years, the generation that I got to know because of my parents, the Raj Kapoor, Sunil Dutt, down to Amitabh Bachchan, that's the generation that I knew of, from their music, from the movies. They came to the U.S. for the India Day Parade. My parents were involved in starting the India Day Parade in New York, and in the mid 80s, 84, 85, 86, they were heavily involved. I actually was able to talk them into letting me get my own phone line at the time. This is back when we all had no cell phones. I had to get a phone line because I couldn't get on the phone because they were on the phone so much, talking with people in the community around events and all that. And so I was able to talk them into letting me get my own line. But they were very active. They brought stars like Devanand into for the parade, and that's the generation I know of. But these newer stars, I have no idea what you're talking about, Sree. I really don't.
And Amy says she's very famous, Neil.
I'm sure.
Awesome that you and your mom are fact checkers. Thanks. You are a fantastic family.
Awesome is a strong word, Jeanette, but I'll take it.
You're the best, Sabrina Cadini. You gave so many great insights into life-work balance on the show. And this is a commitment I made to you, Neil, and to all our Digimentors, that when we work together, we are a different kind of company, and we want to focus on helping with that life-work balance. So if Sabrina will lend us her idea of life-work balance, we will take it and run with it and make it a founding principle of our company, because that's really important to me. I say that, by the way, while I'm trapped in my bedroom, locked in here, while the kids and Rupa are out there with the dog having a good time watching films and shows. My kids are watching Parks and Rec right now and binge watching it. I'm so thrilled to pop in sometimes and watch it with them and see anew the laughter that I experienced first time watching them watch it the first time. Is amazing. I don't know if you've seen Parks and Rec yet, but it's terrific.
Watched a couple of episodes earlier in the season.
One of the things I told my kids is that we had an episode recently about 30 years of the ADA. Speaking of all kinds of minorities that we want to make sure we pay attention to, we did this episode on 30 years of the ADA. Incredible set of guests. Anna Packman, filmmaker. This was just on Thursday, so people can go back into youtube.com/Sreenet and look at this. Liz Pritchard, an autistic artist and comic book artist, and Sean Horn, who is a beauty blogger and carries 2 ski poles with her because of her disability. D'Arcy Charrington Neal, who's at Dr. Charrington, who's an advocate for disability, folks with disabilities. He happens to be Black also, and talks about the intersection of that. And another Amy Padnani at NYT. Amy, she edited the recent ADA report on the 30th anniversary of the ADA in the New York Times. She's the obituaries editor, and I gave Neil the surprise that she will be joining us in the weeks ahead on the New York Times read along. I will geek out on that. But all of this was to say that Anastasia Somoza, who was with us, talked to us about how she is a chapter in Amy Poehler's book, and about being an activist, and Amy Poehler of Parks and Rec, of course. That's what we were trying to connect everything that we do. And this is that issue of the New York Times, as you can see here, and it's called Beyond the Law's Promise. And you have it too. There you go. We can hold the top and the bottom.
Top half. You got the bottom half.
There you go. And we learned on the read along that this is they did it black and white on purpose. They used extra large type, all kinds of things. They used an artist who could tell the story really well. And we talked about the importance of communicating the story of all kinds of folks on this show, this daily COVID-19 show. We're committed to that. We're looking for guest ideas, sponsor ideas, theme ideas. Write to us, please. And Neil's going to be more involved with us, which can only mean an upgrade in our production. We have some more comments, and we should get going. It's 10:38.
Before we close, I do want to offer 2 pro tips for people doing live stream shows. One second. We got to go to this. Treat yourself. Retta from Parks and Rec, Kills All Guilt. And that's with Aziz Ansari. I'm afraid that my kids, whenever I might question some money that they're spending, they're going to start saying, treat yourself, which Retta and Aziz Ansari were saying. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead, Neil. That's all right. I was going to say, offer some pro tips for people doing live streams. One, make sure that you clean your glasses before you go on screen on a live show. As you can see, my glasses are picking up. If I don't angle it right, I'm getting some good glare, some good reflection. Second, if your room is dark, I have a light in here, as you can see. I'll cover the light for a second, so that helps. But don't wear a dark shirt if it's at night and your room is dark, because then that dark purple shirt doesn't show up. I should have gone with the pink shirt or the yellow shirt instead. Just a few tips in case you were wondering how to up your live streaming game.
So you did all of that just to show them what not
It's
to
a
do.
demonstration. It's a demonstration, exactly.
Exactly. Also want to remind everybody we have a newsletter that comes out every Sunday morning. So Sundays are really busy around here. Newsletter at 7 in the morning, and then 8:30 the New York Times read along. Then 11 o'clock the She's on Call show, and then at 9 p.m. this. And in between, a lot of work, lots of calls, lots of great comments coming in here. I want to point out a couple, including from our good friend Robert Anthony, Bob Anthony at New York Bob, who was the third guest on this show. He says the guests here from around the globe have been astounding. Having Neil in the house full time raises the ceiling even higher. Yes, it does, Bob, and thank you for being such a great friend. And Bob has blessed us by having a tip in every newsletter that I write, a tech tip. And this week is another great one. I'm just going to show you the newsletter so you can all make sure you subscribe. You see the URL right on the screen. It's it's Sreenet.com /
Sreenet.substack.com.
That's right. Sreenet.substack.com. Correct. Thank you. And here it is. Today's topic was we need to give people more money. The next 12 to 18 months are going to be especially difficult for tens of millions of Americans. Rupa and the kids and I went out to Roosevelt State Park Reserve, and we took our masks off for a few minutes as we got to sit there with Tara under this tree, and we talked about we have a read something section. We have our sponsors, and then these are the tech tips from at New York Bob. This time about portable power, and you'll definitely want to read that. So even if you get my newsletter just to get his tech tips, I hope you'll get it. It's sreenet.substack.com. There it is on that ticker. Neil, amazing producer that he is producing right now, and I really appreciate you, New York Bob, for that. Apollo gives a shout out to Aziz Ansari, and Jeanette remembers that episode, and Amy says, also tag your family so they can fact check, she says. So we are running out of time here. Neil, tell me how you're going to, last day of work is the this coming Friday, and then
fact checking you, Sree. What's your definition of running out of time when the show was supposed to end at 10 and it's 10:41? I'm just curious how your Sree math, I think, is what we've come up with. But yes, we're running out of time. My timeline, Friday is my last day at United Way Worldwide. In theory, I'm going to take a few days off the week of August 10th. We'll see how well I do with that, with some potential projects in the works. But my first official day with Digimentors is going to be August 17th. So I put out an email to colleagues this evening before the event, before the press release, before sharing it with other folks on social media and United Way. It was important to me that they not only see how we were talking about it and the announcement that we were making, but also have the chance to watch the live stream. And one of the things that has been important to me is to connect with people before I leave. And I'm hoping that leaving is not a final act, that I'll be able to stay in touch with people after I leave United Way. That's been a very important part, being able to stay in touch with people from Seattle and Washington State. So I have this week to say goodbye. I have to work on a transition memo for work, which is going to be covering the last 5 years of my work at United Way Worldwide. And then I hand in my computer on Friday. They're doing a goodbye party for me at 12:30 via Zoom. It's a bring your own pizza party. So everyone will bring their own favorite pizza, and I'll get my own Valentino's New York style pizza from here in Alexandria, Virginia.
Yeah, that is going to be a bittersweet moment for you. And just talking about keeping in touch with people, we showed this earlier. This was you writing to me about thinking about your next job out of Washington, going to Washington State. We didn't know where you're going. You ended up staying at home with the folks at United Way. But I said you'll be an attractive candidate, and little did I know, 5 years from then, I was still working at the Met, 5 years and a few months later, we would be here at this moment, and that's incredible.
At that point, Sree, if I'm doing my math right, January 2015, that was when I was thinking about a job at United Way Worldwide, and looking at a possibility here. So it came to pass, and really appreciate your encouragement at the time, and for bringing up that email. It means a lot.
It's my pleasure. And want to just tell everybody we have incredible shows coming up again this week, Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. We are thrilled to bring you Oren Siegel, who's Vice President of the Center on Extremism, as we talk about fighting hate during COVID. He's with the ADL, a leading anti-hate organization. And our co-host is Jennifer Lazarus at I Am Jenny Lazarus, one of our colleagues at Digimentors. She's the VP of Business Development and Strategy, and she's bringing us incredible network of contacts that she has. And we should just say that you had an unusual experience in college. One of the places you lived was not the most obvious place for a child who was born Hindu to go to.
Absolutely. At Wesleyan, my freshman year of college, at the end of the year, a friend of mine came up to me and said, "Hey, the Jewish house on campus has expanded. We need to fill slots. Would you be interested in being my roommate?" And I said, "Sure," just really without thinking about it. I had always been interested in exploring other religions and learning about other faiths. And I spent my sophomore year and my senior year living in the Bayit, the Jewish house on campus, and going to services from my sophomore year, junior, and senior years. I became such being a part of the community was so important to me that when I was a senior, they included me in the goodbyes to seniors within the community. I had people come up to me and say, "Wait, I just found out you're not Jewish and you don't know Hebrew, but you know the service like the back of your hand. Help us understand that." The Sidurim, the prayer books, were in phonetic English. I could read, I could sing, not a problem. The benching, the singing after dinner on Friday nights was another joyous community building event. So I did that. I spent time with the First Reformed Church in high school as a youth group leader, as a member of the choir. Pam and I lived in Egypt for 2 years. You can't live in Egypt and not learn about Islam. This all goes back to what my mom helped me think about in terms of accepting all religions as different paths to the same destination, from the Vedas, from the Hindu scriptures, through Gandhi, and my mom to me, and I've lived that as broadly as possible. Now, what I did is I did choose a home, a religious home, a spiritual home, with the Unitarian Church here in Washington, D.C., in Mount Vernon, which accepts people of all faiths and does classes in other religions. So it really wasn't a question of giving anything up. It was the natural extension of what I was thinking and doing. And I was proud to officially become a member at the service where they focused on Hinduism. They did a 6-week class on Hinduism and then devoted a whole service to Hinduism on that Sunday. So it's a very meaningful moment for me.
Sure, and I'm glad to hear of that journey as well. And folks, we have other great episodes coming up this week, including I'm sorry to say it's taken so long, but an entire episode about Native Americans under COVID and how it's being affected, how they're being affected by that. That's on Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Please join us for that. Therese says, "Wow, congrats, Neil, on your new adventure with Sree and Digimentors." And she is an amazing colleague and friend.
Absolutely.
She's been a guest on this show as well.
And a big supporter. She's not only a supporter of the work that we're doing. We're working with Justice Aid on a number of events. Looking forward to that, September 17th, the Justice Aid Film Forum. But Therese has also been tweeting the New York Times read-along the last several weeks. And particularly when I got the chance to interview Claire Smith, the first woman elected to the Writers Wing of the Baseball Hall of Fame, Therese live tweeted that show while I was interviewing her. So Therese, thank you so much for that. I hope that your family is doing well. We didn't get a chance to see you earlier in the week, but I hope everyone is doing well in your family. So thank you, Therese.
Amy says, good luck with wrapping up your last week of work. Do try and give yourself those few days off, and good luck with starting at Digimentors. We haven't told him yet about the hazing ritual that we have for all full-time employees. And so since he's the first, he gets it worse than anybody.
I thought I get to define it. I don't have to.
I define everything else except the hazing ceremony. Amy Parekh says, nice shout out to mom, and that's great. And Jeanette says, that's beautiful, Neil. Your acceptance of all religions is inspiring. UU is great too, and that's Unitarian Church, I guess.
That's short for Unitarian Universalism. It brought together two religious movements back in the 60s, Unitarianism and Universalism. They call themselves UUs for people in the know.
Mark says he has some native blood, and therefore looking forward to that show on Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. So before we go, we'll be thanking our sponsors, but everyone, if you can, please stay. This is the part of the show where I say their names. We talk to the incredible Columbia Law School professor, Kimberly Crenshaw, and I asked her, what can we do to be allies of African-American folks? And she said, say their names, say her name. And so we're going to do just that. I'm going to ask Neil to join us. Neil, thank you for being with us for this moment. And typically we've done that through this photograph and this cover of Time magazine. That's Titus Kaffer's stunning painting of a mother and child. And on the right is a picture of Larcinia Floyd with her son, George Floyd, in an undated photograph. She would die 2 years, almost to the day that he would be killed in Minneapolis. And he is buried next to her now in the town of in Houston, where he's buried. And so now we are going to use this report that our viewers came up with for us to read. And this is the Say Her Name report. And Neil, I want to apologize in advance. It's very tiny print. I struggle with this, and I've been reading this a long time, so I know it won't be easy for you. But I'll read a few names, and then you'll read a few names, and we'll go from there. And the names in the updated version of the Say Her Name report. For example, Breonna Taylor killed by police in her bed on March 13, 2020. One of the things I ask everybody is, as you hear us read this, please ask yourself, how many of these names do you know? How many of these names have you ever seen or heard of before tonight? And what can we do to prevent these killings? And what can we do to make a more peaceful America and world? So
Sree, do you want to do one column and I'll do the second column?
Sure. So that'll give you a chance to read those second column names as well. Good prediction as always, Neil. Thank you. And let me start. Breonna Taylor, Tatiana Jefferson, Charlena Siobhan Lyles, Corinne Gaines, India Kager, Sandra Bland, Alexia Christian, Maya Hall, Megan Hockaday, Janisha Fonville, Natasha McKenna, Tanisha Anderson, Aura Rosser, Shanique Proctor, Michelle Cousseau, Pearlie Golden, Gabriela Navarez, Yvette Smith. Before I hand over to Neil, I ask you the same question. How many of you had heard of these names beyond one or two? And what does that mean? And what does that say about us? And Neil, I know this is the first time you're reading them out loud. We all make mistakes. I've been making mistakes, so no worries. And please go ahead.
Thank you, Sree. I will note that I chose the column that's a smaller font size, and I'm hoping my progressive lenses will come through for me. Renisha McBride, Miriam Carey, Kiam Livingston, Kayla Moore, Shelley Fry, Melissa Williams, Shauna Walden, Alicia Thomas, Shanari Davis, Shamel Edwards, Rakia Boyd, Sharice Francis, Ayana Stanley Jones, Tarika Wilson, Catherine Johnston, Alberta Spruitt, Kendra James, Latanya Haggerty. God damn, there are too many names, Sree. Margaret Laverne Mitchell, Taisha Miller, Danette Daniela, Frankie Ann Perkins, Sanji Taylor, Eleanor Bumpers. And this is not all the names. These are not all of the women who have been killed in various incidents. Even when we do all the names of men that have been killed, there is no way to honor everyone whose life was taken in this kind of senseless violence. But hopefully this helps.
It does, Neil, and thank you for reading. I know it's not easy, and we read it every single day so that we can remind people, and especially I've got to say, in our Indian American community, there's a lot of work to be done. There are many, many progressive, wonderfully progressive folks who are allies of the Black community, but we have a problem in our community of colorism, and within the home community, let alone what we say about other communities. And it's been really good to know about our allies in this fight as well. I'll just remind people we had a guest on our show named Ryan Boodoo. Here he is in a 1986 photo of his elder brother, Ravi, who in 2008 died in police custody after being arrested on a non-violent offense. And after the death of George Floyd, Ryan is speaking out about his brother, as well as the racism and silence he sees in South Asian communities across the U.S. And he wrote a moving USA Today op-ed that you can find at bit.ly/Ryan op-ed, and I encourage you to read it. The death of their elder brother encouraged Ryan to become a lawyer and another brother to become a doctor, and it's all in tribute to their elder brother Ravi, who passed away. And we show you that just to tell you that these are the issues that our community is dealing with as well internally. And we've had some amazing leaders who happen to be South Asian, who are very active in race relations and racial inequity, fighting in racial inequality in this country. All right, it's been a long day, so let's let you get back to your day. You are a late stileeper and an early riser, so I don't know how that works in your world. I do some version of that, but I certainly get more sleep than you. I do know that. There's still comments coming in from all kinds of folks. Amy has given me permission to haze, and Harsh says, wash hands. And Jeanette says, stunning and devastating to see beautiful mom and child. RIP, thanks for saying their names. And Jeanette says, say her name to recognize the female deceased. There are many names there I would not know except for this show. Thank you. And our show is obviously just a start. And what we're trying to do and why we've done the show every single day for 144 straight days is so that we can all learn together and we can all grow as people. And that's all we can ask of our social media and our media organizations. Neil, I am so grateful. This is a big moment for all of us. We've been obviously working on this for several weeks and months growing, but this started with our parents, with me and your dad, before it became you and me. And it has grown to this point where we are all together now, and our futures are intertwined. And I know that we're going to be doing amazing things together. And I'm very, very grateful to you for your time and your volunteering for so many days on so many different projects. That's how I know that you would be an amazing colleague. Even before we were working together, I thought about many times that wouldn't it be great if we got a chance to work together, not just on the Sunday read along. And now we get to do that on a global scale. Our bench strength, speaking in your Yankees terms, grows dramatically, and we are helping invent new things in this virtual world. And I'm honored to go on this ride with you and our colleagues at Digimentors. The 20 of us are going to continue to do really good things. We say we want to earn, certainly. We want to learn, and we want to have fun. In whatever order that comes is up to all of us. And if you're watching right now and you'd like to work with us, You see my email address right over here. Please email me. We'd love to talk to you. No virtual event is too small or too big for us to work on. And now that we have Neil, nothing's too small or too big, and we would love to work with you. I want to thank our sponsors before we go, including Muckrack Academy for fundamentals of social media for journalists, PR pros, and everyone. Free certification now available, mrac.co/social. 4,000 people have taken this course, and so should you. And I hope you will take it. Even Neil, who didn't need it, took it just to kind of understand what we're teaching, which is really important. And we want to thank our friends, our new friends at Nunbelievable, divinely delicious cookies on a mission. Each box of handcrafted cookies provides 2 meals to those in need, 20% off with the code SREE, SREE. Hope you'll take a look at nunbelievable.com. And we want to also give a final thanks to our first video sponsor.
Hotstar Premiere Nights. Watch the year's biggest blockbusters streaming straight to your screen, exclusively on Hotstar.
What if one day you find a bag full of cash and you are faced with a dilemma to take it or not? Would you take it? Watch Loot Case premiering and streaming right now exclusively on Hotstar. Hashtag Hotstar Premiere Nights, hotstar.com/US @HotstarUSA. You know, maybe it'll take a sponsor to get you to watch a Hindi movie and that has subtitles. So maybe that's the way we make it a challenge. We tell Hotstar, give us enough money and you can market directly to Neil Parekh. That's what we're doing. I want to tell you that I just got a wonderful note from my friend Dan saying, love your newsletter, end of message. That was his entire message. So please check out our newsletter as well. We are so grateful to all of you for being here, for supporting us. And Laura says, wonderful news. That's right. The news was, if you missed it, that our friend Neil Parekh is now joining me and my company full time. And we are just couldn't be more excited about what this means for our families, what it means for us, and how we help our clients. That's what we are trying to do. Excellent service in any way that we can. And so we want to work with you. Please be in touch. Thanks, everybody. Wait, there's some more comments coming. Neil, did you cover all these comments?
No, I didn't. I just saw this big one from Kathleen that came in. Wow, Kathleen watched the video. It's gonna block our faces. We're gonna have to lean up to be seen. But she saw the walk that we did, and that was great. Thank you, Kathleen, for watching that. And of course, who else? It was Laura, and my sister was glad that we're going to be working together. Apollo was saying thank you for saying the names, and I think that and Stefan as well. Onward, in terms of Digimentors. Let's see if I can find that right there.
That he's watched Hindi movies.
Yeah, I skipped over that one. That's not important. It's Onward, Digimentors proud. We are. That's what happens when you have two people producing a show.
Yeah, exactly. Before we let you go, what's going to happen with the baseball season?
I don't think they ever should have started playing. I think it was a mistake. I think that with the Miami Marlins being sick and the Cardinals having to shut down some games, I wouldn't be surprised if it spreads further and they end up cutting the season short of 60 games, much less the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm really worried about that. Yeah, I don't know if you had enough time to research this, but their insurance wouldn't have covered it. That's why they had to play the games.
I don't know that it was a question of insurance. I think that the biggest thing is that both the owners and the players were looking at the revenue from the playoffs, from the postseason. The TV revenues were too large, but there are a number of players who, they some were able to opt out of playing for medical reasons, and if that was the case, they got paid the prorated share that everyone was getting paid this year. But a number of other players, star players who have small children, who have family members, they said, you know what, I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna put my life, my family, my livelihood at risk. They chose not to play, and they're not getting paid this year. Wow. And my hats off to them. I know that. I mean, one of the things from what I've read is that the competitive spirit is so strong that these players are really, they want to spend time with their teammates. They want to spend time on the field in competition. This is what they do. This is it's a job, but it's also, what they love doing. It's their passion. So I can respect people who want to play, but I think the league should have been able to shut it down. And my assumption is that the financial pressures were too great to do that.
And we should point out, while baseball stars are really well paid, we're talking about tens of millions of dollars per year. There are people of course, in the minor leagues that make, not
minor leagues were shut down.
Oh,
there's nothing,
and
a number of minor league players were let go, were cut from teams. But more than that, it's all the people whose livelihoods depend on sporting events, whether they're people who sell Cracker Jack and beer and soda in the stands, to the other vendors, to the bars and stuff around the stadium. Those are the people who are really hurting. The hotels where the guys stay, yeah. Restaurants. We're privileged, and I've been privileged to work with United Way. We didn't shut down. We kept working. We were able to work from home. We didn't have an economic impact on my family because of that. There are a number of people in this country, and that's why you're focusing on not just the health crisis, not just the racial justice crisis, but the economic crisis out there. And we always have to remember how privileged we are to be in the situation that we're in. The fact that I can leave United Way and come to work with you full time is not just an honor, but an incredible privilege to be able to do that.
Yeah, and we're so lucky, and we're all lucky, and thank you for reminding us of that. So with that, let's say goodnight, everybody. We are grateful to all of you for watching. Tomorrow, our episode is all about fighting hate under COVID, and our guests are two folks will be with us. Our colleague Jennifer Lazarus and Oren Siegel from the Center on Extremism at the ADL will be with us. Please tune in for that. And tonight's show was Positivity with Neil Parekh. So Neil, I'm going to give you the center stage, give you a chance to say goodnight, and hit that end broadcast button.
Thank you very much. I'll let my sister help me say goodnight. Thanks for sticking out the whole time. I look forward to working with everyone, look forward to engaging with everyone. And as a final plug, if you have an event, if you have a conference, don't cancel it. Don't do it just on Zoom. Let us know if you want to help us produce a show for you. We can do it, and we'll do it well, and we'll do it have engagement like you haven't seen before from your audience. So thank you, and good night.